can't just cruise on one motor.
You can, but it's like walking pace. feels like the prop's slipping completely. So that's telling me that I think my hub might be wearing out in this 24 pitch chopper. I don't want to get stuck right as far away as where I need to be, and we have rain coming, so I don't want to risk it. I'm just heading back to the ramp. Once again, guys, it's always an adventure. Really wanted to go on that Russell Island ski boat run, but unfortunately, whilst we set out to make our way out towards Russell Island, I was out sort of the front of the pack. There was a moment there where I was sitting at up around where my top RPM is. The boat was hanging out there. I just felt it slip. Thought I had spun another hub in this 24 pitch chopper, which I had the crack fixed in. It's not my drag prop, and I got boating anxiety, and I thought I had spun another hub. I did try to continue on for a bit just to feel it out, to see what was going on. I went to give it some acceleration. As I gained momentum and started getting up to some speed, felt like it didn't bite and that it slipped. As you could see from earlier, it was raining. We found a little break in the weather, but I could see there was some more heavy clouds coming, and I didn't want to risk driving further to only have something go wrong and get stuck in the rain and need to get towed for an hour or two. I just played it safe and I brought it back to the ramp. In doing so, there was a couple of times where I stomped on the accelerator. I had my red warning lights pop up on my Micron dash on the left bank. We were sitting at about 400, 500 degrees Fahrenheit EGT wise, and then once I'd step on the loud pedal, it would instantly spike to 2200 Fahrenheit, which was setting off my boating anxiety and warning alarms in my brain. But as soon as I'd lift my foot off the throttle, it would drop down and would register what the other EGT bank was reading. So I played with that a bit on the way back to the ramp. So I just wanted to get it home so I could pop the cowling off. I'll pull those EGT sensors out, I'll give them a clean, I'll look in the bottom of the pan and just make sure nothing out of the ordinary is going on. Last time, as you've seen in the other episode, when I changed the oil in the gearbox, what I've since noticed is when I refilled the gearbox and you have your little plunger pump for your oil, when I hooked that up, I'm hoping I didn't, but I could have possibly pumped the new oil into the gearbox too hard, too fast, and it's given me a gut suspicion that I may have blown out the selector seal. So what I've heard is those little seals are only good for about 14 psi of pressure. So if I have pumped that new gearbox oil into the lower unit too hard, there's a possibility I could have pushed that seal out from its seating surface, because here we have traces of oil that's coming out that little hole there, which goes to your selector shaft, and as you can see here, there's oil coming out of that, and I know that that oil is only one run old, that oil's looking milky. So that's telling me I'm going to need a new selector shaft seal put in that lower unit. It's Sunday now. Come Monday I'll probably have the stator back for my carb 3 litre. So I'll put that on. We'll do a video, we'll get that running, and the 3 litre will be going on. So then I can put this motor and lower on the engine stand, and I can do the further maintenance required to this while we test out the 3 litre. This is all part of boating, you know. I'm not going to be one of those channels or people that just shows you all the good bits, because let's face it, in the real world you're going to have more dramas than you are good moments. It's just how we can turn that into a positive and not get down on the negatives. Everybody has reached out and said to me, if I was you I would have given up by now, but I'm not a quitter. I just aiming to get the boat in that sweet spot where we can go out and enjoy ourselves and have fun with minimal dramas. I'll pull this cowl off and have a further inspection. So, as we suspected, that shift shaft seal must be no good because it's taking in water. We're gonna have to get this lower unit off and get that fixed up. But that's why we do this routine maintenance. One oil change is all it's cost. I haven't gone out to continue to try use this lower unit and ended up another victim to another gearbox. As you'll see in the footage yesterday as well, because I thought I was tripping, when I got up to wide open throttle or thereabouts and the boat started to sit and feel good, all of a sudden it felt like it was blowing out or getting prop blowout. But I went back to my cameras and as you've seen, the motor was just raising up and trimming up on its own. So touched base with a couple of friends and they've told me to service the manual trim release. We'll have a look at that. I do have another spare trim unit, but this one was working fine and it's just failed now, but see what we can sort out with that as well. So we've got this gearbox off and I'll give you a look at what we found. So there you have it, the shift shaft, what seems to be is pushed up. It's obviously pressurized somehow, because I don't know how that would actually rise or ride up with regards to selecting, because that should only turn. The milky oil there, that's a clear indicator that the shift shaft seal's failed. We've got a new one ordered, so hopefully that'll turn up in the next day or so, and then I'll show you how to fix it. So just while I've got you here and we've got the gearbox off, I could show you inside. I'm just running a Boatz tuner. This isn't a genuine Mercury mid, it's just one that I've had a snout welded onto because we just like to be loud and obnoxious. That's what it's all about, having a 2-stroke, or that's what makes me happy, is making other people unhappy because of the noise of a 2-stroke. So from inside there, hello. Right, so now we've got that gearbox off and we've got that sorted. We might start looking at and diagnosing as to why that trim was literally going up on its own in the water, as we've seen in the footage. So we need to look at what's going on here. Probably something there. See what we can find. Another couple of days has gone past as usual, waiting for parts to come in and whatnot. Big thanks to Roscoe as well. We've got ourselves the new shift shaft bush, and I've borrowed Roscoe's shift shaft tool. I've never done this before, but I've been given instructions on how to do it, so I'll just go through the process. Like, I don't think there's any reason as to why I should throw out this old one. Like I said, I think I've just I've tried pumping the oil into the gearbox too fast, and perhaps I've just pushed that little seal up and out. I'm not sure. I don't know how that fails, but that, when I did remove it, as you'll see, that was riding up. I'll put the new one in. Like my friend said, it's easy just to put the whole one in as opposed to trying to pull the seal off the bottom of this and reuse it. You can just buy it complete. Good thing is, like, you should probably keep your old second-hand parts, and especially if you buy new ones, and just put your second-hand parts back in the bag, and you can always keep them and refer to the parts and the part numbers. Little helpful hint. So that's the unit and the little rubber. I can't really see anything too much wrong with those. I'll keep it as a spare. But now I'm just gonna get some marine grease around there, put some in there, back on. I don't know the torque specs, you probably meant to look them up. I just went off the pressure on how it was to crack it, so I'll probably just hold it and tighten it up the same, just with a little bit of force. Probably a bit like an oil filter on a car, enough so you can get it off next time. And I'll probably just put a little bit of grease in before I put that last little O-ring on top. Like I said, it's my first time doing it. Roscoe gave me pretty good instructions, and he's a young guru. So they'll just go on top. You know what, I might just put a little bit on the top just to seal it. So that's how you do a shift shaft seal. I must admit, it is pretty easy just buying the whole part and just changing it out like that, as opposed to trying to pick that rubber off the fitting. But I'll just pour a little bit of grease around that rubber. I don't think you can put them in the wrong way. Well, I hope not. That's fixed. We'll put it back on the motor, fill it up full of oil, and we'll be able to send it for this weekend on Sunday. Young entrepreneur, you would say, Troy Candy, he's having what's called a raft up. Pretty similar to what the guys in America do at the sandbar. So we'll have the boat all ready for Sunday. We'll be able to get out in the water and catch the action and the fun that everyone's having. Like we've seen earlier on the weekend when I went out and my motor was trimming up on its own. In the middle of the night I couldn't record, but I took the filler cap off and once again got some instructions off my local references, and just a bit like a brake pedal, I would take the cap off the filler and trim the motor up, top it up, put the cap, or top it up, trim the motor up so it would draw it in, then put the cap on and trim it back down again so it would bleed the system. My motor it would hold, and then I'd get to a certain point of trim and I could still lift the motor freely. Come home again from work and played with the trim a few more times, and it was actually holding. It was holding pressure, but it's a bit iffy. Once we build this new motor of mine, I've got a new trim clamp right there. I've got a brand new one there. I just didn't want to go pulling it apart for that motor because I'd prefer to build the complete motor that I've got so I can just lift one off and put one on, whether it's the 2.5 or the 3 litre, who knows, we'll get around to it, but just getting on top of all these gremlins.
The following day.
Another day's gone past and the work never stops. There's always something to do when it comes to boats. When it comes to these 3 litre Mercury V6s, the carb model, which is some of the first ones, they have completely different setup to the EFI system, so I've come to learn. And obviously we had a bad stator and they're as rare as rock and horse shit to find, so I've been put on by a friend Cole to an old guy that still rewires and rewinds the pickups. So we've completely had our stator redone. Thing that I have noticed though is you might see where the wires have been reattached here. When they come out from Mercury, they actually have, what I noticed, they have a dob of silicone on them. 100% of the time we're usually just running in salt water, so tends to get everywhere, and I just don't want them to oxidize and corrode. So I'm going to get some Sikaflex and just put a dob on each of them just to ensure that they're sealed. We won't have any further dramas or nothing touches those wires. As for our sporty gearbox here, I'm going to fill it up, and then that way we can ensure that if I do try to fill it too fast, we'll be able to visually see if that rubber presses out again, and I can then push it back down and refit it before we put it back on the boat. I was hoping to have the 3 litre on the boat for this weekend. I'll just put this gearbox back on, and then that way we can go on the water on Sunday if the weather's good. If not, I'll be tearing that off and we'll get the 3 litre running and try get that rigged on the boat. Mr. Soy Lattes, he's got me a set of wings, he's got me a set of lower pans. Very appreciative of that. Yeah, we'll be away with the 3 litre. 2.5, the noises, that's where my heart is, the 2.5, but I'm interested to see if the bigger displacement helps get my heavy boat up and out of the water more. So stick around. Right, so there we have it. Got our oil here. I'll pump it up slowly and we'll keep an eye and see what that seal does. So as you can see, the oil's coming out the top vent plug hole, so that means we're full. The rubber O-ring's still sitting down in there. That means we're good. I'll put the top cap on first so the bottom doesn't drain out when I try to put it in, and we're good to put this lower unit back on. Lower units on. Can't say I haven't done that a couple of times. Sometimes it's easier than others, sometimes it just slips right in, and others just doesn't want to play the game. But that time was an easy time. I've got a spare standard 3 litre flywheel here, so you'll be able to compare the two and see how much meat exactly that we took off the flywheel. So as you can see on the standard one here, you've got your original pull start that comes on the 3 litres here, and obviously with reference you can see from Mercury stamps from where they're obviously balanced, and when you look over to the one that we've lightened, you can see the pull start's completely gone, and in comparison to those checkouts you can see just how much meat we've actually taken off all the way down onto the sides without taking the timing marks off the flywheel. We've actually made the belt for the alternator, that's been taken down a little bit. The radius has been taken down as well. We've taken meat out of here a little bit off the top there. It's all been stepped down. You can actually see that steps up here, whereas this one steps down on your standard one. It should be around about anywhere from 500 to 800 grams lighter, I'd say. I did want to try and take that completely down and out. We wanted to keep some strength within the flywheel itself. Obviously you've got the whole motor spinning this flywheel, so we did want a bit of meat in there, but future reference we possibly could take that down and all the way out, but we're just more concerned about keeping a bit of strength and rigidity of the flywheel. Hopefully it just makes it a little bit more zappy under throttle response, but just wanted to show you a comparison in the two there as to how much we've actually taken out. One of the local entrepreneurs on the Gold Coast, Troy Candy, he's holding a raft up. There's going to be a few boats hitting the water once again, unfortunately, here on the Gold Coast. It's rain. Going to put on a jumper, Probably even grab the ski goggles, put them on, weather the storm, because content can't stop for you guys. So even if it's raining, I'm out there filming stuff so I can bring it to you, because if it's raining where you are, you're going to be sitting on the couch wanting something to watch. So anyway, I thought I'd just touch base on, if you own a Mercury, what you could use or need or have in a bag on standby. So I'll show you what I have. I've just got a small spinner set, spark plug ratchet. I've got another one smaller for my cowl and to adjust steering cables, flathead, Phillips head, fuses, spare spark plugs, spare water pump, spare fuel pump, my endoscope camera, and some spare coils, CDI boxes and stuff like that. I mean, it'd probably only weigh a few kilos. If you break down, which you will someday, you will need some of these items. It could get you out of trouble. Last time we went out and my trim pump wasn't working that well. It's still maybe a bit dodgy. I mean, I'll show you what it's doing. So if my trim's down here and I go to pick up on the motor, it's locked. It's still locked. It's still locked. And just as this tooth starts to pass this area here, this clamp becomes free and allows itself to kick up. So if I grab it now, it moves. If I trim it up and down and prime it, maybe it will hold a bit more, but it's hit and miss. I'm just not going to be able to do anything stupid. Not that I do anything stupid or condone that. Just got to be wary of standing on it if you decide to press down on the loud pedal. So I'll just prime it a couple of times. I'll get this stuff together, I'll get it in the boat, I'll get the tarp off, we'll go get some fuel and we'll make our way to the boat ramp. We've got Mr. Soy Latte with the twin rig coming out. We've also got the Candyman's cigarette, which has been refurbished. That's possibly coming out. We've got the guys from Fast Cats. They've got a couple of their 70 horsepower Thundercats coming out. Should be a turnout. And let's see how many weather the rain. Here we are at the boat ramp, and it is proper raining. So I dare say today's raft up's gonna be a flop. But we're here, we're in the rain. It seems like we may be the only people dumb enough to turn up on the water too. We'll see who the true OG riders are that come and turn up, and I'll bring you what I can. Gonna put you on board the Fast Cat 70. We've got the boat back home now. I just put it on the flusher and I've got no water coming out the telltale. I'm very thankful that we haven't cooked or blown up the motor. Dare say I've wrecked the impeller from today, or it's spun the internals on the impeller or something of that nature, so I'll have to drop that lower off and check the water pump. But yeah, it's always an adventure, and dealing with old parts and new problems.